Good morning and welcome to today's video, which is part of the playlist for academic study skills for A-level English literature. And today what we're going to be looking at is a quick guide to footnotes, which you must do when you're writing a piece of coursework or an academic essay at university. What's the purpose of footnotes? Well, first of all, you need to use them to keep a record of your sources so that you can avoid accusations of plagiarism. If you're using someone else's work, you've got to acknowledge that the work is the intellectual property of another person. And footnotes are a way of acknowledging that other person's effort, their research, their work, and a way of acknowledging that you're using them to build up your ideas and to confirm or extend or challenge the ideas that you have had. Footnotes also show that you're entering an academic discussion with other literary critics. If you imagine that an essay is part of a series of conversations between different people working on the same subject area, then that might help you to understand the function of footnotes a little bit more. As an A-level student, you're tentatively entering that discussion with lots of other people who've already written essays on this topic, and you're saying to them, actually, look, I've got this point of view on this, or could we extend this by thinking about this idea? And so your footnotes show who you're talking to or who you're engaging in discussion with. So, for example, if you were referencing the work of Gayatri Spivak, a very respected post-colonial critic, you would then say, well, I'm using your idea, Spivak, in order to extend my ideas a little bit further. Footnotes also are there to help people who are reading your essay. So many a time when I was at university, I would be reading someone else's essay in a critical anthology or something like that, and I think, oh, that idea is really interesting. And I'd look at the footnote, and then that would guide me to the other source. So I'd be able to get another book out of the library or go to another website and read up in greater depth about that particular concept. So footnotes are there to help people who want to find out more about an idea that you refer to, and what you need to do is tell them where to find that greater level of information. Information that you need to include in the footnote is basically the author, so who wrote the source that you're quoting, what the title of the source is, the publisher, the publication date, and the location. If you're referencing a book, perhaps a novel, a text, a critical anthology, or something like that, most of this information is available on the title page of the book or on the reverse of the title page, which we call the flyleaf. In order to create a footnote, what you need to do is you need to type your quotation, as I've done on the screen here, and then immediately after the quotation as a shortcut, you press Ctrl, Alt and F at the same time, and it will automatically create that little superscript number and it'll link it to the reference at the bottom of the page. So this is a really quick way to do it. It saves lots of faffing around with formatting and things because Microsoft Word formats it for you. And then you just type your reference in there. So in order to create your footnote, you have all this information and you need to present it in a particular way. That makes your essay look nice and neat because your references all follow the same format. Now, there are lots of different styles that you can use in order to present your reference, and it doesn't really matter which of those styles you use as long as you are consistent with your referencing and you don't chop and change between them. So different universities, for example, have different ways of referencing. Oxford University Press have a particular way of doing it, Cambridge University Press is a Chicago method, and so on. But what I'm using here is based loosely on what's called the MLA code of referencing. It's very straightforward, it's very nice and clean, and as long as you use it consistently, then you won't run into any problems. So this is how to reference your primary source. So it might be the novel, it might be a play, it might be a poem. You start off by putting your author's full name. So we have Jean Rhys here. The next thing that you include is the full title, and you underline your full title to indicate that that is the title of the work. In brackets then, after that, you have the publication information, and as I've said, you can find this on the flyleaf of the book that you're looking at, so on the reverse of the title page. So you have the place of publication, you have a colon, and then you have the name of the publisher, so it's Penguin here, and the year of publication. And then you close your brackets, you have a comma, and you have the page number that you've taken the quotation from. Now, I know lots of you think that I'm really pernickety about things like punctuation and presentation and so on, but you've got to make sure that you get the punctuation right for this and keep it consistent across all of your references. Now, you don't have to do that every time you quote from the same text, and it's quite likely that you'll be quoting a lot from your primary source. So for all subsequent references from that text, you just include the reference in the body of your essay. You don't need to make a new footnote each time you reference the novel. So as you can see here, I've put the quotation, Antoinette said, there is always the other side, and then without creating a footnote, but just in the body of my text, I've opened my brackets, I've put Rees, so the surname of the author, a comma, the page number, and then I close the brackets. And that's just a nice clean way of cutting down the work that you have to do in the number of footnotes. Otherwise, your page would start to look really cluttered with lots and lots of bits of information at the bottom of it. Another type of text that you're probably quite likely to reference in your coursework is a critical essay from a book. So here, the example I've taken is the introduction to my copy of Wide Sargasso Sea. So you start off by having the full name of the person who's written that section. So here it's Angela Smith, who's the author of the introduction. Then you have the title of the essay in quotation marks. So here it's introduction. It might be more complicated if it's from a different source. You have the title and the author of the book that the essay is from. And again, the title of the whole book is always underlined. And as in the previous format, we have the publication details in brackets. So the place of publication, your colon, the name of your publisher, the year of publication. And then after that, you have the page numbers of the whole essay. So here, the essay is from pages 7 to 13, and it's in Roman numerals in the copy of my text, so I've just borrowed that. And then finally, you have the page that your quotation is from. So it's from page 13, that particular quotation. So it's very similar to the previous form of referencing just for the primary text, but we've added a little bit more complication because we want to acknowledge that Angela Smith is the intellectual creator of the introduction to the text. And then, as previously, you wouldn't want to be creating hundreds of footnotes if you're referring several times to the same essay. So here I've said, Smith writes, Rees hears voices that Bronte's novel pushes into the margins or out of hearing, and this is the second time that I've referred to this particular essay. So in brackets after my quotation, I just put the surname of the writer and I put the page number that the quotation is from. The third type of referencing that you might want to do is referencing a critical essay from a website. And this is a little bit more complicated, and it kind of depends on the information that you're able to get off the website. But in general, this is the format that you can use. So you have the author's full name, you have the title of the essay in quotation marks, you have the name of the website, the link to the website, and you put it, I don't know what these are called, but you put it in these little triangular brackets. You have the date that it was published, and then the date that you accessed it, the date that you looked at it. And again, if you were to quote several times from this same essay from this website, you wouldn't have to create a new footnote each time. So all I've done here is, after my quotation, I've put the author's surname in brackets and then a little code to show that it's a short form of the name of the website. So BL here stands for British Library. So that's all there is to it, really. You need the name of the author, the name of the text, the publication details, and then the page that you have taken it from. I'm going to do a separate video on how to create a bibliography or a list of works cited. So look out for that soon. Thanks very much for listening.